students and the research scholars, how can they deal with writing innovative manuscripts, and how can they deal with plagiarism issues specifically. So I just want to confirm if my screen is visible to the other side. Can somebody confirm?
Deepak, can you confirm it? Not
in my screen, it is not appearing. I request coordinators. Are you able to see the screen, PPT?
No, it's not appearing.
No, sir.
Okay, then I think I need to see how I can share the PPT first.
So there will be three options. First one will be video, then audio, then sharing option.
Just a minute.
You will have to click that and you can share desktop or any particular window.
Have you got the sharing option?
Yeah, I got the sharing option. Yeah, I got that sharing option. Three options are there: desktop, window, and live producer. Sorry, desktop and window.
So you may please select desktop, sir, or any particular window. If PPT is open, then you can directly.
Can you see it now? Yes,
it is here currently.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. So I think it is visible now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
Thank you very much. So I will directly go to the talk. In fact, initially when we discussed about the talk, I was told that maybe we can discuss about COVID situation and what students actually should do with the current situation to keep them engaged and keep them innovative. But later, what I feel is that our students, our research scholars specifically, are all well equipped that they can utilize this time for completing some pending works, which may include some of the research stuffs, that may include maybe the papers which they must have thought that I will read and they never read it because of the time constraints or maybe carelessness or whatever is that. So I just twisted this talk a bit that let us discuss a bit of some important aspects where it will be beneficial for our students, research scholars, or any interested individual in a long run. So today we will be mostly dealing with the plagiarism issues. All of us know that plagiarism is one of the most problematic things which is there in the manuscripts. With the increase in the document size at several libraries, it is really difficult actually. How do you really write a completely innovative paper? So let us start with this. When I was preparing this talk, I thought I'll keep it that how to manage plagiarism in manuscripts. Then I realized that do we really manage plagiarism in manuscripts these days, or do we do something like this? So these two titles, if you see, and you will be able to know if you have written a paper or maybe you have done kind of assignment. We all pick a easy way that let's complete this paper, let's write this paper, but we are all afraid of being caught, and we all assume, we all presume that let us not get caught even if we have plagiarized or copied it. Actually, if you ask me, it is actually a very serious thing. 10 years down the line, when this was happening at a lower level, people were a bit ignorant. But now, with the awareness and a lot of like internet revolution, Google's, so people are much aware. And even if somebody copies a paragraph or maybe a complete sentence, it is very difficult actually to sustain that. So, in short, what I say is, it's not good actually to plagiarize or copy the contents. Don't do it. It is not actually good. Maybe today you are not caught, tomorrow you will be caught, maybe not at one forum, some other forum, but whenever you are caught, it is going to be very embarrassing in front of the public who has caught you, in front of your professors, in front of your friends, or in your own eyes. So try not to actually taste this taste. It is very bitter. I will try to run a YouTube video which actually will show you that plagiarism is not only at the level of research, it is also at the level of our versatile businesses and glamour businesses also. So I will run some songs for you which are from Bollywood. Most of us must have known it, and how this actually is plagiarized, maybe by Hollywood or something like that. Just 2 minutes video. Is the voice there, Deepak ji?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Amit ji, there is an issue. Can you make it full screen, please?
I will do that. I will do that. I will do that. I think it is not allowing actually, but what I wanted to show you that this plagiarism is not only at the research level, it is spread at all the other businesses, including if you see pharma sector or maybe the Bollywood, maybe the Hollywood, internet industry, entertainment industry, everywhere. Let me actually, I think it is running.
I think the data file size is heavy actually. That's why it is not streaming.
No, it is streaming well actually. I think the slide sharing is put at the automatic level. So that's what I think we have to do it customized. Okay, I think now it should work. Our student must be bored, so I think we should entertain them a bit so that.
It's my birthday, it's my birthday, I must spend my money. It's my birthday, it's my birthday, I must spend my money. It's my birthday, it's my birthday, I'ma live my fantasy. It's my birthday, it's my birthday, I'ma live my fantasy. Mahi, 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 mainu chalna pawade. Mahi, 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 no. It's meri photo te photo chala de. Mahi, 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 mainu chalna pawade. Ratim le koi subari lit mos pasma. Mahi, 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 mahi.
So I think it is clear that what has happened with these songs and how like minutely people have been copying that all the tunes, all the specifics, everything is actually looks quite similar. So I'll just cover what we are doing in this COVID-19 scenario, and then I'll go to the main topic. So actual topic which was allotted was this: boon or bane for opportunities. And to be very frank, as Dijan recently gave a wonderful insight on what people are doing these days and what have actually been very important, which did not look that important maybe pre-pandemic. So if you see these sectors, either it is healthcare, you see that now there is a lot of awareness, there is a lot of policy change. Now you see the live data coming in from several ministries who are giving it at the central level, state level, which never happened. We have dealt with several pandemics and epidemics before. But now people have thought that how important data is. The data is going to the public, and then public is seeing it. They are getting convinced about it. Then another benefit is virtual benefit. I'm pretty sure that none of us must have been this much dependent upon the virtual world. Everything is almost virtual. You go to your colleges, you go for your classes, in fact, gyms. A lot of industries have gone virtual, and people have managed to adapt to this new normal. Sanitization and public hygiene, specifically in the country like India, we have never been bothered about the proper sanitization and public hygiene, that they are actually also very, very important. It used to be only a political step when people used to give their opinions and then agendas that in the next election we will be making the sanitization better and the public hygiene better. But now everybody is aware. They have to follow some sanitization, proper sanitization in their localities. Then they have to follow the public hygiene. Nobody is going to teach them. People are not forced to wear masks, but like now many of us have made it a habit that, okay, we have to wash our hands for 20 seconds. We have to wear masks and all those things. Intra-governmental collaboration. This has been another wonderful thing which has happened in the pandemic. If you see, always the state governments and the central governments, specifically in India, it was really tough task for bringing them onto one table if they were from different parties. But now you see the kind of collaboration government is working. Central government, state governments, beat any other party, but they are collaborating very robustly and they are managing the situation. Reducing the dependence upon the animal products. This is very obvious that WHO and ICMR and all those guidelines are coming up that you should actually be a bit more vegetarian. You should avoid the animal products and all. Then the global supply chain diversification. This is also very much evolved now. The global supply chain was never kind of e-supply chain, which is happening now. All the supplies, they are utilizing the information technologies at the best. So why I brought all these points to you is that these are the industries which are going to actually flourish in the post-COVID era also. So all our researchers, all our students, if you have some ideas, if you have some expertise from your engineering background, try to utilize such ideas for doing something beneficial, for doing something innovative in these areas. What our college students are doing this COVID-19 lockdown, this is actually from internet and from some of my personal experience. Some are reading novels, books. Many are learning music. There are many who are listening to music. Some are refreshing their coding styles, coding knowledge. Some have gone to the arts. They are understanding the history. They are understanding all those social things. Many are watching films because there is no movie theaters these days. And the another trends, I have seen there are many groups from the schools. They never were in touch, and even if they were in touch, nobody was actually bothered to go for a physical get-together. I have seen many get-togethers happening this pandemic. That is another good thing. And then the most important part, philosophy on the COVID-19 and coronavirus. This will, if you go to any street in India or any part of the world, any learned or unlearned or village or the urban area, philosophy about COVID-19 is going on day and nights. So these are the things how we are adapting to coronavirus. What I will be focusing today is that in this COVID time, I think it is a good time when you can actually brush your research skills. You can brush your paper writing skills. You can brush how you analyze the things and how you put into the writing. It is very easy actually to sometimes do the things, but when it comes to proper expression, either it is your speaking skills or either it is your writing skills, it is very challenging. I can have n number of stuffs, n number of things which is coming from my laboratory, but when it comes to representation properly through a research paper or something, it becomes a challenging task for many of us. And most important thing is plagiarism, because innovative writing is not an easy task. What we do today is Google is for everything. We search almost each and everything. How do we cook this? How do we write the paper? How do we narrate this? In fact, people are also searching these days. How do they deal with the angry wives these days in the home when they are stuck? So Google is actually has made us dependent. Not now, but we are now more dependent. So we will mostly focus upon how do you brush your skills so that your paper is free of plagiarism. So let us understand what is plagiarism first. Plagiarism is you can simply say that it's copying something, and it's not only copying the song which you just saw in the previous slides. It is also copying of anything, expression, speaking styles, writing styles, and all those stuff. So plagiarism is presenting another's original thoughts or ideas as your own, or using another's exact words without proper citation. So this is a trend. We all want to look innovative, whether we are innovative or not, but all of us are in a run of looking that we are the most innovative one. And for doing that, many a times we copy something from some or the other source. We use it for our own PPTs, we use for our own assignments, we use it for our own papers, but we don't bother to actually cite whose actual idea was this, whose actual work was this. And there may be very serious consequences of doing this. We will be covering this in the coming slides. And what are the excuses which we make? If I am a student, I will say that, okay, the assignment was very boring. I really did not want to bother much and apply my own brain that, okay, I have to write this definition, that definition, and all those stuff. So we actually make a lot of excuses like this. It's okay if I don't get caught. Even if I have copied and I'm not caught, it's fine. Some will say I was too busy to write that paper. Actually, I had a lot of office stuff. I have a lot of my home stuff, a lot of personal stuff. My teachers expect too much. Some of the students also make it excuse that, okay, I wrote it well. I brought it from so reliable sources, good research, IEEE transactions and all. But my teachers expect too much. I have got to get into so many things. Everyone does it. What's the big deal about it? Why people are pointing only at me? And my parents expect only A grades. So, and I'm not good at writing. So I go and copy some of the stuff so that I always get good grades. So these are some popular excuses which we make when we are doing plagiarism or copying somebody else's innovative content or innovative research. What kind of plagiarism is there? So we will classify the kind of plagiarism which you do knowingly or unknowingly. I'm very sure many of us will not know what kind of plagiarism we are doing. The first one, plagiarism of authorship. In fact, to give an example, I'll tell you, I think last year I was reviewing one paper of one of the conference. And when we did the plagiarism check with the softwares, I got the paper 99% or more plagiarized with another paper. So when we actually put those papers together and I saw, except the author name, nothing was different. So that is called plagiarism of author, and I cannot actually disclose the institution and all, but it was from a very reputed government institution, the paper which was submitted to that conference. So even if somebody does plagiarism, this is actually very serious and it is actually a crime. So turning in a replication of another work, submitting a paper that you got off the internet or from a friend and presenting it as your own. I am presenting the slides today. Now it will be sent to all. What you did is you simply change the presenter's name and you are presenting that I am Mr. X and I have this slide which is being presented to all the people. Very seriously, it is an offensive thing. Plagiarism of self. Many of us think that, okay, I published a paper maybe 5 years back, and then some assignment I only submitted to one of the teachers in my MTech level. When I'm doing the PhD, it's better that I can copy some of those parts and then I'll go through it. But let us understand that this is also called, and this also qualifies for a plagiarism. So the use of previous work for a separate work. Although these were your original words and thoughts, receiving credit for the previous published assignment is considered cheating. So you have already got the credit of this thing. So even if you are trying to utilize some of your own work and it is needed for your future studies, you should definitely cite that, and you should definitely write somewhere in the paper in your own innovative words what justifies the old work to be presented in the new work, either it is 6 months old or 1 year old or 10 years old. If it is just to increase your citation, it is a straightforward a plagiarism of self. You are just trying to get the credit of the same work at several forums at multiple number of times. Another kind of plagiarism of words, and this is actually very popular, and many times you will not do it knowingly or intentionally. Sometimes it happens unintentionally also. But again, even if it has happened unintentionally, it is actually the author's duty, the scholars or the researcher's duty to see that up to what level the reproduction of words have happened. So the use of another's exact words without citing the author. This is the problem. You can use that. You can use the words. You can use some of the sentences. But please do not forget to cite from where you got those words. So what you will understand at the end of this talk, or generally also, is that plagiarism itself is not the problem. The problem starts when you have copied something from one or the other source and you forgot to cite. Either it is intentional or unintentional, and unfortunately it happens intentionally in most of the cases. So the reproduction of someone else's words, ideas or findings and presenting them as one's own without proper acknowledgement. This qualifies for plagiarism of words. Another type of plagiarism of ideas. Presenting another's ideas as your own without giving the personal credit. And it can happen, you can say, very theoretically. Maybe you are not presenting a paper, or you are not writing a paper, you are not publishing a paper, but two friends discuss that, okay, this is the idea on which we should generate some results, and we will publish in one of the good journals. And when it went for publication to the journal, or when it went to a forum of a conference where the idea was accepted for, let us say, hackathon, or it has qualified for some funding, or it has qualified for some governmental support, and people are not bothered to actually say that it's not my all alone thing. It is one of my friends also did the work with me. So that is called the plagiarism of ideas. Another type which will qualify is you wrote a paper with the idea of 3 friends, but you have submitted a paper without informing them to a journal, without citing or incorrectly citing any other ideas. Okay, this it means to make it look like it was your own innovative idea. Plagiarism of a structure. So you can see how minutely plagiarism actually travels with you when you write anything. Either it is your assignment, either it is your research paper. Paraphrasing another's words by changing sentence construction or word choice with citation. Paraphrasing while maintaining original sentence construction with acknowledging the source. This also qualifies for the plagiarism. It means that one paragraph which you have got and then you just wrote it in your own words, that's fine. But again, you forgot to cite that this kind of work from where you have got the idea to write the paragraph like this. That will qualify for the plagiarism of structure if you are paraphrasing but not citing. But having said all those kinds of plagiarism, I think it is an ethical and moral practice, it is an ethical and moral responsibility of all of us to give the credit where credit is due. You just think sometimes when you are Googling and copying some other's work, and then you are not citing or you are not giving the proper credit to the authors, you just put yourself in their own shoes, who has wrote the paper, and then your paper is being utilized somewhere else without giving any credit to you and creating confusion that you invented this, you completed this work, or somebody else completed this work. How will it feel apart from all these legal problems and all those things? How personally it may feel and how ethically it may look like. So it is always a good practice that even if you are utilizing a material which is copied, which you think it is very important for your assignment, your research, your project, do it. There is no problem. But do it in a structured fashion so that the person who actually has made your life simpler, the person who has done something which is very important for you and you are utilizing it, you should be given proper credit for this. So another question. Now you will ask me, it looks like it is very difficult now in this fast changing world where every day thousands of papers are being submitted to journals. Do I need to cite everything? The answer is no. You need not cite each and everything, the general informations or the established things, like the facts which are widely known, that this is Newton's laws, this is Albert Einstein's theories, or maybe some news which is actually there in the media and it is public. So all the public information which you are getting at the public sites, they may not be actually qualify for all the citations, but always try as much citation you can give. Second thing, information or judgments considered common knowledge. So if you are having an information which is from Wikipedia or maybe from a public database or maybe the judgments of maybe one jury or the courts or something, they are all considered as common knowledge and you are not bound to cite them. So all the common knowledge, whatever you think or you presume or with your common consensus, you think, okay, it is known to everybody. What's the big deal in citing all these things which is known to everybody? So the common knowledge definition can change from person to person again. But until you are thinking ethical, you and everybody else will be at the same page. Like, this is just to lighten the moment. What is the example of a common knowledge? Narendra Modi is the current Prime Minister of India. You need not cite it from the PMO website that, okay, this I have found here. It is a common knowledge. Everybody knows it. Another thing is Rahul Gandhi is trying very hard to be the next. So you have to decide if it is a common knowledge or you have to cite it from some other source or something like that. So you have to actually very minutely see that what qualifies for the common knowledge, what may be known to everybody, which needs a citation or not. So if you see a fact in three, I'll tell you the rule. If you see a fact in 3 or more sources and you are fairly certain your readers already know this information, it is likely to be a common knowledge. So if you are searching something and you found that information which is available at 3 or more places, which is a public domain, and you find that information is available there, you can consider that as a common knowledge. No need to document when you are discussing with your own experiences, observations, or reactions. This is innovative. Everybody will have a different thought process of the same thing. I may see the same experiment and I may interpret the results a bit different. Somebody else may interpret it a bit different. So the interpretations may be individual. You need not cite that those interpretations of the same experiment which was done by somebody else if the interpretations are different and it is your original. Compiling the results of original research from the science experiments. You have compiled the results and then you have come to a conclusion with that. It simply means the data which you have collected from several sources, but the interpretations of the data is not the same which was done by several other groups. That will be qualifying for a common knowledge. But many of us think, what's the big deal? If I change a few words, I'm okay, right? But it is wrong. Paraphrasing original ideas without documenting your source is a plagiarism too. So if you have got an idea which you know for sure that it is not your own, and then you have paraphrased it and you are presenting it as your own, it will qualify for the paraphrasing. In fact, in IEEE, I have been in the committees of conferences, and till this time, we deal with several papers which is published in the conferences all over India. This instance comes a lot, that paper is published now somebody mails to IEEE ethical and legal team that, okay, this was my own idea which is written by this author and I have the full proof documents. Once all these proofs are sent to IEEE, there is a team which is made, and many cases we have found that the idea was actually copied from somebody else, and this guy, since he was a friend or he was a teacher or he was a student, he got that thing and then he has published in one of the IEEE conferences. So please, the moral of the whole talk is citation is very, very important, and you have to honestly do it. The thing is, even if you are utilizing some of the known information and you are presenting at a forum, citing it, you will be called or you will be thought as a more logical and more legal and more, people will believe more on your words, rather than once you are caught that, okay, this guy has actually plagiarized and copied somebody else's idea and presented in the conference. People will never believe you once you are caught, and if your name goes like that, you are a plagiarizer. What you can do, you can borrow from the works of others in your own work. If you have friends, if you have teachers, if you have somebody else, you tell them very frankly that, okay, this is a very nice concept which I want to utilize in my own research. Can I borrow it? Yes, you borrow it, but you cite it again. So what we can do to blend the source materials with your own, making sure your own voice is heard. So what you can do is you borrow something, you copy something, you read something, but you interpret it in your own way. It's not that the same interpretation is being utilized. You use it in some other way so that it looks that maybe the data was same, maybe the interpretation what somebody else has done is the same, but you are not using the same interpretation, claiming that you have interpreted that. Quote, paraphrase, and summarize. So you can do quotes in all the research papers. Even if you use Authenticate is a plagiarism detection tool. It will tell you that remove quotes. Quotes means exactly the same, maybe one-liners or two-liners, which are very important, and you think that you should not change even a single word when you are utilizing in your own paper or in your assignment. Make it as a quote. That I have copied the whole thing from this paper and this is the reference. Paraphrase it. If you read a paragraph and you think that, okay, it is not all relevant to me, but I can actually interpret it in my own way, and then I will be including it in my own paper. So you can paraphrase and then interpret it in your own way, and you can put it as a novel thing in your own paper. Another thing is summarizing. You read the whole paper of 4 pages, and now you are thinking, okay, these 4 pages are not really relevant, but I can summarize. The whole concept looks very important to you. So you can summarize all the 4 pages, maybe in half a page, or maybe in 1 paragraph, or maybe in 1 page in your own words. And then you say that I have summarized all this information based upon the document which is available here or the document which is published there. There is no problem because you actually have not copied it. You have copied or you have read that paper and you got your own ideas and you summarized it. So this I will skip. Maybe we can have some time for discussion. So quotes is you need not change anything. So this is specifically when, like, what people use it. Let us say there is a quote which says that this is a fact and you do not agree to it. So then you cannot change that quote. You have to write that quote and then you have to say that we don't agree because our results are telling this, which this quote is contradictory to. Or you want to agree with the quote that, okay, the results which we have found, it completely matches with what Albert Einstein did in 1950s or 1850s. So you have to actually put that quote as a reference that we also reach to the same results or same identity, same observation. So I'll skip some slides. So quotations must be attributed to the original author and the source that you used. This is an example. Say, if you use the phrase 20 years ago, our forefathers, you must give credit to Abraham Lincoln and the book in which it is quoted. Lincoln, Abraham, this address, in the Lincoln, Gettysburg, the words that remade America, Gary Wills, New York, Simon and Schuster, 1992. So if you are taking a quote from one of the papers, you have to actually quote it very original. Paraphrasing, that's what I told you, that when to paraphrase. If you are thinking, okay, everything I cannot put into the paper, I can paraphrase and interpret it on my own. and you want to use overusing quotations. Sometimes this is a very good point actually. Sometimes most of the lines which you will read, you will feel that, okay, this is also very important, I should include in my own paper. But when you see that there are so many quotations which are happening, you can paraphrase, you can write in your own words and interpret it on your own words based upon the results. So this is the source which is taken. People have told, the person has given a proper credit, John Doe, 1999, page number 231. And what is the inadequate paraphrase? Doe in 1999 recommends this, and at the end he has written that it is page number 231. So this is inadequate. Adequate is you paraphrase, you write in your own words, and then you can say that this idea I have actually took from this author, and this was published here and there. Inadequate paraphrase is also guilty of plagiarism. Make it a point that you cannot escape that, okay, I did not know how to paraphrase, that's what I wrote it. So you have to know how to paraphrase and how to cite. Summarizing, that's what I told you, that there is a bunch of 4 pages and now you want to summarize it and then use it for your own paper. So you want to determine the main ideas of a single source. Like you read a paper and you are fascinated with all the ideas and you want to determine, write most of the ideas from the same paper or same source, you please summarize it. All in all, whenever you are doubtful, okay, I should cite it, or I should escape it, I should do it, I should not do it. Only way, on the most robust way, is use a citation. Because if you not cite, there may be a problem. But if you use citation, there will never be a problem. So whenever you are in doubt, use citation. There is no harm in doing that. And many of us think that, okay, if I cite, maybe people will think that, okay, everything is copied. So in your paper, if 80% of the thing is cited by something, then that 20% will not qualify and it will not be accepted anywhere. Either you do it in the form of assignments or a transaction paper of IEEE or any Willy paper or any reputed publisher, they will not entertain that. So you also have to think that whatever paraphrasing, summarizing, citation, quotations, whatever you are using, everything should be properly balanced. You should not use more of the quotes because you cannot change it. You should not paraphrase it more so that it looks like it is only paraphrasing of the work. You have not done anything. There is no specific result which you have gained. Or if your paper has enough of the paraphrasings or enough of the summarizations, it simply means that is not an original result-oriented paper. It may be a review paper. So in the beginning itself, when you are writing the paper, admit that this is not an original research paper. It is a review paper. And review papers are equally good. In fact, I'll tell you, there are many of us who think that, okay, if I don't have a result, if I don't have much time, I will download 10 papers and then I will make my own report and then I will say it is a review paper. But the fact is, review papers are not that easy to be written by everybody. And review papers, usually in the scholarly world, when you go deeper or dig deeper, you will find that review papers are only written by those qualified authors or those qualified professionals who have got enough number of publications, enough experience of research to their credit. A student who is just in MTech, who is just in PhD, I don't say that he cannot write and he doesn't have experience, but usually you should have enough experience of that area. You should have read enough number of papers in that domain for which you are trying to make a review paper of your own. So it is always a good idea that you read the reviews, but don't try to write the reviews for a bad intention that, okay, I don't have any results, I don't have time and all those stuff, all those excuses which we discussed in the beginning. So always try to be innovative in your thoughts, in your writing, in your presentations, in your results. And with the experience, all the dignified colleagues who are there at IEEE UP section, including Professor Assis and all those people, I can assure you that if you go with this route, that you swear that I have to be innovative. Maybe I will be late. Maybe in the first meeting, in the first presentation of the conference, I will not be given the gold medal. In the first paper, I will not get the acceptance. But if you follow the innovativeness, the day will not be far when your papers, your presentations, your ideas will be liked by many. And at the end, you will be able to better contribute to the society. Nobody actually forces people to do a PhD. Nobody asks people that you have to publish a paper apart from maybe some of the assignments what you give. The whole idea of research is whatever skills you have studied till your graduation or the post-graduation or at the doctorate level, now is the time when you have to give it back to the society. So you think of that and then start writing the paper. That the ideas which you are presenting, how it is going to be actually useful for the common public, how it will be utilized and how you will contribute for the betterment of the society. Because all of us, we should not forget that we have taken lot of things from the society. Be it your parents, be it your teachers, be it your friends or anybody, be it your surroundings, we have been taking a lot of things. And research is one good thing which you can do with all those skills and take backs from the society and all, and you can actually give it back to the society. So whenever in doubt, use a citation. This is a gold standard statement. Don't forget it. And if you still not convinced, plagiarism or plagiarizers are usually branded as people will be afraid of you. Even if you go to a good university, you go to a good company, you go to a good research institutes, the moment you are known as a plagiarizer, or people know that, okay, this guy only goes to Google and then downloads 5 papers and makes a report and then gives us to me, people will brand you as copycats. Don't go and collaborate with him. Maybe he will steal your own ideas. And this is very embarrassing. Many people will not tell you, but it is very embarrassing when you face this situation. You will not be able to show face to the society. You will not be able to show face to the research community. People will be fearful. They will be thinking, okay, there is a risk. Don't go with this guy. People will not want to work with you. So this is not a small. Maybe you copied one line, one quote, one thing which you have not cited, and it may result in a disaster. So these are emotional and ethical disaster. Plus, there is no medicine for the creativity. If you think that I will go and take one medication and I will take an injection of creativity, it's impossible. There is no medicine for that. Only ethics, only hard work, only being innovative, only thinking innovative and ethical is the boon for creativity. Anybody who wants to be creative, be honest, be ethical, and think of others. If you are utilizing somebody else's, not only research paper, anything else in your personal professional life, that guy needs the citation. That guy who did this work needs the credit for that. Apart from that, it is a legal problem. Section 57 of the Indian Copyright Act. If you are paraphrasing, if you are copying, if you are plagiarizing, and you are caught, the person may sue you as well. And it sometimes is proven as a criminal offense also if the data which is copied without any citation was very sensitive in nature. Maybe the crime data or maybe the health data or something like that, because many data are there which needs ethical clearance. You cannot simply go and copy and use that data. So you have to be very, very cautious. You have to be very, very careful. Even if you are utilizing the data, don't forget. In fact, what we do at the company level, at the corporate level also is we try to develop several products, and we should not deny the fact that academicians, the researchers, are the mother of all the inventions, all the papers which are there in the public domain. Even if they are important, what we will do is there is a team which mines all the information, mines all the data, with a team which actually cross-checks and verifies from where the data has come. Proper citations have been collected or not. Because tomorrow when we file for a patent, tomorrow when we file for a publication, tomorrow when we go for authorization of a product, it is very necessary, very, very important that we represent each and everything of that product, of that idea, of that research, from where we have got and how we reach to one of the levels. So I think with this we have, I will end up here. I think we still have some time left, maybe another 10 minutes or so. So I tried my level best that to make it a bit simple. If somebody has questions or some discussions, I'll be happy to take it up.
So thank you very much, sir. Now we can take questions from the participants.
Yeah.
If anybody has any question, query, you may use the raise hand feature of MS Teams. Yes, sir. Professor Nandkishore, please, sir.
It was a nice presentation from you. Thank you, Dr. Amit. Because I have maybe I will have a couple of questions, but the first question I will have because you have been at top position in the IEEE society in your region, in your local region, I mean. My question will be, the first question would be that nowadays we find that in IEEE, because I refer to the IEEE publications, in IEEE there are several, it could be more than 8 authors or 9 authors in some cases. There are several authors in the paper, and each of them are from different organizations. Now, in such situation, how can IEEE ensure that what could be the originality of the work from where it has come up actually? Because if we have 8 authors in different locations and how the work has come up, it is very difficult to authenticate it. How the IEEE can do that actually? Yeah. That's the first question I have.
So to answer this, actually, very good point. In fact, I have seen the papers where are around hundreds of authors for one paper. There are some papers like that also, and most of them are from different places. So what IEEE or any leading publisher will do is, they are really not going to investigate that how 8 people have collaborated to each other and what is the data sanctity or something. In fact, there is a legal contract. When you publish with IEEE, they will send you the consent to publish form and then the copyright form. So the copyright and consent to publish is meant for the same reason that you have taken the consent of all the authors. All the authors are at one page. There is no conflict of interest, and it is signed by each of the authors, claiming that the data which is presented in the paper, to the best of their knowledge, this is coming from their institution, this is coming from their institution, and they all agree to collaborate and represent the data. So this is one stage. Another stage, if after 2 years, from the same institution, one of those institutions, somebody comes up and claims that I was also part of the group, then it goes to the legal or the IPR department of IEEE or any other publisher, and there is an investigation which is done. Usually in IEEE, what they will do is they will refer it to India Council, and they will make a committee, and then the whole paper and the whole authors and all those things will be investigated, and the reports will be submitted. But usually this kind of problems, I will say it is less than 1%.
Yeah, I also agree that, because normally we don't have so many, in fact, so many papers authored by these many authors.
Yeah.
We don't have, but in some cases we do find actually. But what I have observed that in some cases, one researcher will contact a research scholar or a researcher from some other institutions, and then making a convince to them that, okay, we will get the paper published. This is how the authorship goes actually when we have several of them in a paper actually. This is what I have experienced. That's why actually I have put
this is actually an ethical problem, and this is a personal issue, and I think it is very difficult for any publisher to dig to that level. That's what I told you, that in this whole talk, if you see, plagiarism or some issues, very important issues like what you are telling. In fact, I have seen on some of the social medias that somebody will post that, okay, I am in search for 2 authors for my paper, and people will respond to it, and then these 2 authors join, and then that paper sometimes gets published also. So this is an ethical problem, and if some things like this come into the picture, and you come to know that one of your friend is into that practice, what reputation you will get about the persons in your own mind, you can define it very well.
That's good. That's it. I'm not sure if I can have the second one, the time permits.
We have another 5 minutes or so.
Sir, if you will allow, we can take some questions from the participants.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any question, you may
allow me to ask the question. Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Sir, allow me to ask the question.
Yes, please.
Sir, actually, recently I am facing a problem. I am a research scholar from private university.
and I am facing a problem that I working on one research paper since 2 years, and by checking a plagiarism, my paper got leaked actually.
Mm-hmm.
And someone assigned my paper to another person.
Mm-hmm.
So, sir, how I check the plagiarism in my hand? Because, as you know, Turnitin is the source to check the plagiarism, and we don't have access
So you.
individually to.
So what is your question?
Question is that. Hello.
Yeah. Go ahead.
My question is that, sir, what is the appropriate software to check the plagiarism in individual level, sir?
So there is no individual or corporate level. Either it is Turnitin or Authenticate. All are good softwares. But what I understand from your problem is since you did not have access to these software, so you sent it to somebody else, and then your paper was copied. So
yes, sir. My paper was not copied. Even all the whole paper is given to another person.
Another person means he published it somewhere.
Yeah, he gave it to the publication. Even he is my friend also, who got the paper from my guide.
See, this is a usual problem, and what you can do is, one is you have to submit your paper to a publisher. Maybe whenever you want to do, you are free to do it. And the moment your paper is published somewhere else, and you find that your paper is plagiarized with the same content, but it is published on some other's name, you can write to those journals that this is my own paper, and these are I have all the full proof, results, and everything what I have done. So I want this paper to be dropped. And many good journals, many proper journals will be able to happy to help you. They'll again constitute the same thing, and committee will be there. They will evaluate who is original, who has the data. Because if your data is copied, if the paper is copied, people will not have all the background data and all the background ideas and all those things. So it is, but obvious, maybe it is a time-consuming process. Yes, it is a painful process, but you can write to those journals where your copied content is published, or anybody, not only journal. If somebody else is using your material, you can write to them that this is my own material, and I will be taking it up wherever you are publishing or sending it for publication.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Deepak ji?
Yes, sir. Sir.
I think our next this time for the session is almost over.
So we have Professor Nandakishore here. So I request Professor Nandakishore to just thank Dr. Amit Kumar for such a wonderful talk. May I request you, sir, please?
Thank you, Deepak. In fact, it was a privilege for us, for the entire team of SCS 2020, and then again, including the participants, to have you, Dr. Amit, for your lecture. It was good, and I think even the budding researchers who are here for this conference, they will find it useful. Because in the future, in the coming years, when they have their research results achieved, so they would be ready to publish in some other form. It could be even their thesis as well. So they must know, they must understand very carefully that how they have to do about the reporting of their results. And it was good on your part, Dr. Amit, that you have a very nice way briefed or illustrated what are the terms, paraphrasing, we can say, or many of the words which we have used it actually, which refers to or which is actually considered as plagiarism, or which is defined as a plagiarism by